Hi everyone, it's Vicki. Welcome to my channel. And today I have a Mars and Venus and Mars and Venus and Venus and Venus go to the movies. Yes, two movies. One I went with Mr. Mars and one I went with my friend Venus. So you might have noticed I took just a little bitty break from YouTube because I've been busy baking and making things from scratch and raising dough and trying to make a sourdough starter, and I just decided to do some homey stuff, and made some jam, made some honey butter, made butter, churned butter. I didn't churn it the old way. I used a KitchenAid, but anyway, yeah, so I've just been busy, cooking and making non-processed food. So anyway, about the movies. All right, so the first one I saw was with Mr. Mars, and it is called Sisu, S-I-S-U. I'll just put a little thing right here so you can see it. And yeah, very, very violent, I must say. But yet there was a storyline more so than, say, what was that other really violent one? John Wick, Chapter 4. Yeah, I would say didn't have the same amount of violence, although it's just different kind, because this one, Sisu, set in a war scenario, so, obviously that's coming with violence and with Nazis, and anyway. So the story is basically a guy discovers gold, and he's trying to get back from where he discovered it to where he lives with his gold, and he runs across Nazis who've been invading his country, or actually they're leaving at this point. I think this is near the end of the war, but anyway, they realize he has gold, and so they want the gold, and they find out that he's actually a famous war hero from a previous war, and are kind of warned, stay away from him, but they don't, of course. So that's kind of the gist of the movie without telling you too much about it. There were parts of it where I literally was covering my eyes and looking away and, trying to think of anything else, la, 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 But in the end, it had a story that was interesting to watch. So even though I, close my ears, close my eyes, I'm glad that I at least didn't leave. I considered getting up and just going and sitting in the lobby, but I knew that Mr. Mars would be pretty unhappy with that. He'd feel like he had to leave too. So I'm glad I stayed till the end and got to see how it all worked out. And it definitely was a get even movie again, and Mr. Mars likes those kind of movies, the get even movies. So he gives it a thumbs up. He liked it. Despite its violence, I guess I'm going to give it a thumbs up, because it's not a bad movie. It's actually a good movie. And the main actor doesn't really talk in the movie, which is odd, but he says a lot without talking. So I'm not going to tell you any more about it. There's some, definitely people get even, they get a chance for, I don't want to say, anyway, I'm not going to say anymore, but all right. So let's switch to the other movie, which was a Venus and Venus. I went with my friend to that, and we saw, I mess up this title all the time. Is it Hey God, Are You There? It's Margaret. I don't have my phone with me, but I think you know what movie I'm talking about. I'll again put the little thing right here, so you can see in the title will be in the subject line of this video. But I'm telling you, that movie, I loved it, and so did she. My friend is, I think, about 7 or 10 years, maybe 8 years older than me, maybe. The film is set in 1970, and the main character is in 6th grade at that time. And it starts with her at summer camp, and she comes home to New York to find that her parents kind of have the house packed up and they're moving. And of course she's unhappy about that. She's her world, everybody she knows, and including her grandmother, who she's very close to, are in New York City, and so, so now she has to go to a new school, the whole thing, start over. But it turns out okay, it always does. As a child, I moved a lot, so it does always turn out okay, usually. But anyway, it's kind of it's not really a coming of age movie. It's a coming of puberty movie. And it just, me and her and everybody else in the movie, and almost everybody in there was like my age or older. And in 1970, I was in the 6th grade. So, so all of this was very relevant to me. But it was all about, these girls that she befriends and stuff, or they befriend her. It was about boys, and it was about getting boobs, and about getting your period, the whole thing. So, yeah, I'm glad Mr. Mars didn't go. I don't think he would have liked it. I don't know. He might have found some parts of it funny, but, for most part, I don't think so. I just think it's very oriented toward a girl's puberty kind of thing. But it was funny, and I think if you're anywhere between, I don't know how young you have to, I'm sure if you're in your 50s, 50 or up, then you can relate to this. And I think even if you're not, you could still find it funny from a time capsule perspective. For me, I was exactly the age of these girls, so for me it hit so far home. I did see one little thing in the movie that isn't right. And I'm just going to tell you. So they go to the drugstore, and to buy some sanitary napkins. They haven't started yet, but, they want to be prepared. And actually, they want to test it out and try wearing them and the whole thing. But anyway, so, of course, they go up there. There's an old lady at the register. They're like, oh, thank goodness. And what happens? A young boy comes and relieves her. She goes on break, and they have to check out. Of course, that happened to me. But when they get them home to try them on, they have adhesive on the back, which is not correct for 1970. I even looked it up. No, because back then, those of you of age know they came with a belt and a long thing. They were not stick in your undies kind of things. But I know this is TMI. If you're a guy watching this, you might think this is TMI. But this is what the movie's about. This is reality, and I don't have trouble talking about stuff like that. But anyway, so, yeah, so that kind of bothered me. The whole movie, I'm going, no, wait, no, it would have been much worse. But anyway, so it was a funny movie. I laughed, she laughed, the whole audience laughed. It was all women. I saw one guy there when we were leaving. I think he was asleep. But, yeah, it was good. And I definitely give it a thumbs up, and I definitely recommend it for anyone probably between 65 and 75, especially because the time, and they did such a good job of the time. I mean, other than the adhesive on the back of the sanitary napkins, other than that, I think they nailed it. I think it was pretty right on. It felt like you were in that time period. So anyway, I liked it. Kathy Bates was in it. Rachel, is her name Rachel Wood? No, is it Rachel? The gal who played the main character in Mean Girls. I can never remember her name. I think it's Rachel something. But anyway, she's the mom, and yeah. It's got a good storyline because there's this whole religious part of the little girl is not being raised with religion because her mom is Christian and her dad is Jewish, and they decided to just completely not do religion and let her on her own time when she's a little older develop what she wants to do. And so that's kind of an underlying thing of it. And she goes, so it's more than just the puberty thing. But yeah, it's a great movie. I liked it. It was enjoyable. And my friend, when it was over, the screen kind of went black for a minute, and then it comes up with some of the the credits or whatever, and she goes, oh, is that all? Is it over already? Is that it? And it's not a short movie, I didn't check the exact time, but it wasn't super short, but you're just so involved in having such a good time with it that it was sad that it was over. Yeah, if there was a part 2 to that picked up from there and went on, I would watch it. I would. So, all right, thanks so much. Speaking of watching, thanks so much for watching my channel. And I hope that you will give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, we would love to have you. And for those who are, thanks so much for your support. Bye.